The Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and federal government workers have called for an urgent review of the national minimum wage, insisting that the current 70,000 naira is no longer sustainable. The demand followed the bold steps already taken by several states across the country to increase the minimum wage of their workers above the 70,000 naira benchmark in response to harsh economic realities. Labour union and workers who spoke with the News Agency of Nigeria (NAN) argued that galloping inflation and the rising cost of food, transportation, housing, electricity and other essential services have rendered 70,000 naira inadequate for survival. It will be recalled that in July 2024, President Bola Tinubu signed the new national minimum wage bill into law, raising the wage from 30,000 naira to 70,000 naira. The law applies across federal, state and local governments as well as the private sector. Since then, several states have moved ahead of the benchmark, and on August 27, 2025, Imo State announced a new minimum wage of 104,000 naira for civil servants, following a meeting between Governor Hope Uzodinma and organized labor. Lagos State had earlier raised its minimum wage to 85,000 naira in October 2024, with a pledge to reach 100,000 naira in 2025. Rivers State also approved 85,000 naira, while Bayelsa, Niger, Enugu and Akwa Ibom set 80,000 naira. Ogun and Delta pegged their minimum wage at 77,000 naira. Benue and Osun at 75,000 naira, while Ondo approved 73,000 naira. The acting general secretary of the NLC, Benson Upah, stressed that inflation had eroded the value of 70,000 naira, leaving workers unable to meet basic needs. He warned that workers were under immense pressure, and unless the federal government acted swiftly, the crisis of survival would worsen. He noted that Labour had engaged the federal government on the issue at different times, expressing hope that the government would see both the economic and moral obligation to respond. While dialogue remained Labour's preferred approach, he added that industrial action could not be ruled out if negotiations failed. The president of the Association of Senior Civil Servants of Nigeria (ASCSN), Shehu Mohammed, commended governors who had revised minimum wages, describing the move as a welcome development and eye-opener for the federal government. He recalled that during the initial negotiations, Labour had demanded 250,000 naira as a reasonable benchmark for a living wage. He argued that 70,000 naira barely covered transport and electricity bills, leaving little or nothing for food, rent and school fees. He further urged the federal government to complement wage increases with broader policies such as affordable housing, healthcare and subsidized transport. Some federal civil servants also shared their frustration. Kemi George, a civil servant, said her salary was almost immediately consumed by transportation and food costs, leaving nothing for rent or school fees. Another worker, Obi Chimobi, described the situation as unbearable, stressing that the current minimum wage pushed families into debt before the month even ended. He emphasized that reviewing the minimum wage was not just about appeasing labor unions, but about restoring dignity to work and strengthening the social contract between government and citizens. Bola Akinbade, another worker, argued that a well-paid workforce was more productive, committed and less vulnerable to corruption. She maintained that higher wages would improve workers' living standards and boost efficiency in government institutions. On his part, Jeremiah Okon said if states with limited resources could adjust wages upward, then the federal government had no excuse. He suggested a new benchmark of at least 150,000 naira, stressing that higher wages should be reviewed not as a burden but as a catalyst for economic growth, as increased income would boost consumer spending and stimulate local businesses. For now, pressure continues to mount on the federal government as workers insist that the 70,000 naira minimum wage has lost its relevance in today's economy. Uche Jacinta for Eagles FM News.